Welcome back to the program. Today, we are once again extremely blessed to have Ajahn Supawan Green, a prolific author who wrote so many dozens of books on spirituality, inspiring hundreds and thousands of people, and in both Thai and English language. And Ajahn spent 40 years on the spiritual path to finding inner peace, and is here to tell us about how she figured it out and how she found those keys to removing those jerrys, which we talked about in previous segments. Now, jerry basically just encompasses all of those negative things that impact your mental well-being or your mental self. And what does that mean in more detail? We're going to talk about these jerrys and how to identify these jerrys that are bothering us so that we can remove them. Ajahn, welcome again.
Hello, Roselyn. Yeah. Hello, everyone. And thank you for having me back again. Yeah. So today we are going to talk about the different type of jerry. Okay. Jerry is the important component in our life form. So let me show you this. I think the illustration and my prop can help you to understand a lot about your life form. As I have talked to you in the introduction course, that we got the body, mind, and spirit, or body, mind, and consciousness, right? And it is only a body part that we can see ourselves in the mirror, but not within, not your mind and your consciousness, okay, or thoughts and feelings. So this part is thoughts and feelings, which I represent with just one word, jerry, and represent with this one. And then we still got another component that is consciousness, the core of life. So I like to introduce you to this illustration, which is very clear. So we got our body, our mind, and our spirit. Body, mind, and spirit. Okay, our spirit is a consciousness, or which I call mental self. And then jerry is the carrier of all problems I have mentioned before. But so far, I always talk about jerry in the negative side, like problems, okay, which represent with this thing. In fact, jerry got other color as well. I separate jerry into 4 colors. Okay, so you got the black jerry, and then you got the pink jerry, and then I haven't prepared my props well, sorry. And then we also got white jerry, okay, and the clear jerry, 4 types of jerry, in fact. Right, so there are 4 types of jerry, as you can see. And jerry is not always dark. There are pink, white jerry, and clear jerry, as shown in this illustration, okay. The most important part that I like you to understand is that when you are being taken over by jerry, so this is jerry, this is your inner self, okay, you can see on the illustration as well. When you are taken over by jerry, as when you're thinking, no matter what, I like you to know that at that time, it's very much like you are being trapped, okay, or being imprisoned, as shown in this illustration.
Yes, that's exactly the word I thought, trapped.
You are being imprisoned by jerry, okay. But being imprisoned by this dark jerry, you can you can identify with it quite easily. You see, when you are being attacked or by dark jerry, you are the prisoner. You are the prison. You is mean your inner self. You are being attacked by, so you're being imprisoned by dark jerry. This is something that you can easily identify with. But when you being taken over by pink jerry, this is another story now. This is another story. Okay, because pink jerry is in fact the diversion from dark jerry. Dark jerry represent all these negative and painful thoughts and feelings. Painful thoughts,
like depression,
like depression,
suicide.
Yeah, suicide. You know, from in fact starting from stress.
Yes.
Stress, worry, anxiety, fear, restlessness, sadness, loneliness, you name it, the list goes on. Okay, this is all this negative emotion and thought. So represent with dark jerry, which is something that no one wanted That's why we have all this, you know, entertainment business industry to divert the attention from dark Jerry into pink Jerry. The entire entertainment, Netflix, this and that, including all this drinking, taking drugs, everything. It's just to help you
from reality.
Forget about dark Jerry because it's so painful. So we kind of divert from one Jerry, leave from one prison. This is a prison cell to another prison. And this prison is pink. This pink prison, or this prison as in Jerry, it doesn't come with the bar that trapped you in. This is a very profound kind of prison that you need guidance to help you to understand what's going on in here. But altogether, I'd like you to know that this is the real you. Your consciousness, your mental self is the real you, okay? And then you are being imprisoned by the different type of Jerry as shown in the illustration. Dark Jerry, pink Jerry. Pink Jerry represents all the thoughts and emotion and feelings that can pacify you, entertain you, make you, you know, joyful, make you laugh.
Delicious food.
Right, yeah, you know, make you on cloud nine, you know, I got this, you got that. And mainly pink Jerry, you need to trade it with something, especially money. You got to have money, you know, to go and entertain yourself, to go buy drink, buy food, go shopping, go on holiday, using Netflix. You got to have money.
It's a different kind of addiction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So pink Jerry is different from this kind of inner peace that I showed you earlier. Remember? I'd like you to know that this is totally different kind of happiness. This happiness is your inner peace, is Nirvana.
It's your life purpose, soul purpose, all of that.
Different from the pink Jerry, different from pink Jerry. Pink Jerry is, in Buddhism, we call worldly happiness. Use something to trade for this kind of happiness, okay? Right. And then the third kind of Jerry is the white Jerry. White Jerry is all your intellectual knowledge, reading book. All these things, in fact, in itself is neutral. The nature of it is really neutral, but it's come down to our black Jerry that want to, you know, put into different kind of justification, put into different kind of basket, and then turn it into black or white. But the intellectual knowledge in itself, it's neutral. It's neutral. So I use that as a white Jerry, which is quite important, quite necessary, because our life move on, you know, we can develop, we can evolve, or because we need scientific knowledge, we need medicine, we need this and that kind of knowledge to help us to have a better way of life, to have a much easier way of life. Okay, and that is white Jerry. And then the last one is clear Jerry. Clear Jerry is very difficult to detect. Clear Jerry is all the thoughts and emotion that attach to your religious belief that make you really have this fixation. Because I got to call it fixation to really truly believe that my God is the only way. My God is better than your God. My religion is better than your religion. My master is better than your master. And this
sounds
is
like ego.
The only way. Yeah, exactly. It's full of ego. See, you can see that it's full of ego. But people who are fixated with this clear Jerry, they cannot see. All they can see is that I'm right and you're wrong, which is something that is happening every day. You know, all these crusade, all this fighting between, you know, that you call holy war. It's all about, it's about clear Jerry. And in Thailand, we also have that. You know, you got all the different sect of Buddhism that they think that their sect is better than the other. All these things. You know, we have this kind of problem all the time. So I like you to be able to identify that no matter what type of Jerry that you are trapped in, it is a matter of being imprisoned by Jerry. That's why I use all these things, okay, to trap you. You're being imprisoned by Jerry, every type of Jerry. And then at this point, I got to connect with the Buddha's enlightenment. Christ as well, you like. Okay, so what happened on the enlightenment of the Buddha, on the enlightenment of Christ, whenever that is, I don't know exactly about Jesus. Okay, but the enlightenment of the Buddha, what happened on that night is that he, okay, disconnect and go beyond Jerry on that night of the enlightenment. Disconnect and go beyond. I mean, Thai word is very good. We use the word หลุดพ้น and then I translate exactly, literally to that Thai word. หลุด it means disconnect. พ้น it means go beyond. So this is the term that they describe the enlightenment of the Buddha. On that night, what happened is that his Tom and Jerry, okay, his inner self and Jerry, reach a state of snapping off. The two things, it's just snapping off. Disconnect and go beyond. It's just like the magnetic field. What's happened is just these two pieces of magnetic, it just snap off like that. Disconnect and go beyond. And that was the first time ever that the Buddha, that the prince turned into a Buddha at that particular moment of upon the enlightenment, that he experienced this awesome ultimate freedom that he had never experienced prior to that point. Because before that, he either had all the different type of Jerry, you know, prior to that, in fact, he was spending 6 years of self-mortification, self-torture for 6 years with the hope that he could find the ultimate enlightenment. Okay, until he was on the brink of death. He starved himself, he didn't drink, and then he withheld his breathing, all sorts of torture himself with the hope that he could reach enlightenment because his teacher told him so. His master told him so, that if you want to reach enlightenment, you've got to torture yourself. So he did that for 6 years until he's on the brink of death. And then he started to question. He said that, oh no, this cannot be the way. But anyway, those 6 years, the Buddha of the prince, he was trapped in this clear Jerry. He was trapped in this clear Jerry because his teacher believed that this clear Jerry would help him to reach the enlightenment. Okay, and the prince followed the word of his master for 6 years. That was clear Jerry. Okay, until in the end, he said, no, this can't be the way. I'm going to die and die for nothing, because 6 years is a long time. I should be able to get something, have some knowledge, some wisdom, or have some kind of progress. But he didn't see any progress at all, but death. So he walked away from that teacher. He denounced that teacher. He was very brave. And he was so very alone. But anyway, because of the perfection, of the karmic perfection that he had accumulated, you know, in his previous life, until that moment, it reached the maturity. So he reached the ultimate enlightenment. And that was the moment that he found the eternal peace that had nothing to do with Jerry. So he was liberated. He was absolutely liberated. And only then he knew the two worlds. That is the world of being imprisoned. The world of being imprisoned. It doesn't matter what type of Jerry. As long as you are being trapped in Jerry, you are being imprisoned in the way that you don't know. Okay. And then the real freedom. This is the spiritual freedom. This is the real freedom. That is to be liberated. And this part is what I call your inner peace. The night of the enlightenment, the Buddha reached position B. So we get to this state. So this state of mind is exactly what's shown in this illustration. Okay, that is, so he put it as the third noble truth, the end of mental suffering. Not necessary that you got to end your physical suffering, because we still have to go through, you know, the physical illness, physical death, all these things. But the physical part, as you know, that I talk last time, it's only a shell. It's only a vessel. It's not a real one. It's not a real self.
Yes.
A real self is this is the one, a real self. Okay, so on that night of the enlightenment, the Buddha have reached that, have realization of this really ultimate knowledge. And that was the beginning of all this knowledge that we are learning nowadays. And this is the part that I try to help people, you know, to understand. So come back to Jerry. Even though Jerry played the role of imprison us, it is different between these two types of people. Jerry is not always bad. Jerry is not always bad, because like we need, you know, white Jerry or intellectual knowledge to help us to live a good life, a better life, you know,
Yes.
the house, the medicine, this and that. We need that knowledge. But
we also need to understand the dark in order to see the light.
Yeah. So yeah, everything is in the state of duality. All these different type of Jerry, 4 type of Jerry, is all have the nature of being the state of duality. You can turn into good or you can turn into bad. It's entirely up to your Jerry to do it. Okay, but the most important part is that if you have no guidance at all like this, the use of your Jerry will be scattering as well. The use of Jerry will be scattering. Like intellectual knowledge, as I said, that is quite neutral. For example, scientific knowledge is good to help us, you know, to have all sorts of invention that you can use in the positive way or the negative way. The negative way is that, like the nuclear knowledge, that you can turn into a nuclear bomb. That is awful, isn't it? You see, so it's all come down to a Jerry, that what you want to use in both sides. So what I try to say is that if you have no clear goal in your life, the use of your Jerry will be all scattering. And then in the end, will come back to serve your own ego, which doesn't help anything, make the world any better. In the opposite, if you have a clear goal to be happier, to gain that inner peace, to reach this ultimate goal of life, you know, eternal peace, the use of your Jerry will be into the more positive nature, not more positive nature, in the positive nature that aim to help people all the time in all sorts of ways. I also use a lot of Jerry. I wrote about 40 books in Thai and English. That is all about using Jerry, but using Jerry to help people to be free from Jerry. Can you see that? You still need to use Jerry, because Jerry is a very important tool for this life form. Is the this component you need to use to live a life. So you can use it in a very positive way in helping people to gain that eternal peace, to be free from Jerry in the end. So there are 2 parts that you got to try to understand, because a lot of people, when they come to do meditation, you know, and knowing that they got to discard all their thought like this, and they thought that Nirvana or innocent perception have nothing to do with thought. So it means that you got to live in silence all the time like that. The answer is no. The answer is no. You don't have to live your mind in silence all the time. That is not a true reality. Because in reality, we got to use our thoughts all the time to do the cooking, to travel from A to B. You got to use
drive the car.
Yeah.
Be stuck in traffic.
To plan things, you know, all the time. But to be void of your Jerry is a sanctuary that you can always go in during meditation. Like every morning, I look forward for my meditation session. So I get up in the morning to do my yoga, do my Tai Chi in the garden, and then sit down 1 hour meditation. I really look forward for that silence, because it's really a true bliss, you know, really blissful. Oh, you know, get away from all these everyday problem, family problems, and it's really so good. It's a very good sanctuary for you just to sleep in. But when you come out from meditation, you got to plan things, what you need to do today, shopping, how to look after your families, meeting friends, all these things. You need to use Jerry, but you use Jerry in a very positive way. in a very positive way. And my goal even further than that, I use my Jerry to teach people, to deliver all this message for them so that they can get to the point of reaching that void, reaching that void that got no Jerry. So you got to really separate this. So next time when we talk about Jerry, I'd like you to know that it's not only just, Jerry is not always bad. Not always bad, okay? Because we got pink Jerry, we got white Jerry, we got clear Jerry, but Jerry represent imprisonment. But for people who have the clear goal of life, Jerry is not necessarily being a prison for them, because they will have the ability to use Jerry. When they finish with Jerry, they can easily discard of them. This is the difference. This is the difference between the knower and the not knower. Okay, the people who walk the street, they're still, their minds so scattering like this. So what they do is that they jump from one Jerry to the next Jerry, to the next Jerry, to next Jerry, jump from black Jerry to pink Jerry just to divert their attention. Okay, but what they don't know is that they don't know how to jump off this train of thought, or discard Jerry, or purge Jerry completely and live with the void. Live with the void. They don't know how to do that. And they may experience the void, say that, oh, it's so boring. And actually it's not the void. It's not the real void that they experience if they say it's boring. Okay, because they're searching for this one. They're searching for pink Jerry, and when they cannot find Jerry, they say boring, and that boring, okay, that boredom is already black Jerry. So they're shifting from one Jerry to another. They don't know the real void. They don't know. Okay, for people who really know this real void and can use this as the sanctuary, you need the initial guidance. You need that initial guidance. Without this initial guidance, it's very difficult for you to understand this because it's not tangible. You can't see in the mirror. You really got to follow the guidance. So I try to set up all this teaching in a very systematic way to help people to get to the void. So what I try to say is that once you have the clear goal like this, you still use Jerry like everyone else. Okay, but when you finish with your Jerry, you can just discard of that and then come back to the void. This is the difference, and it's a massive difference. And this massive difference, you need to practice really to advance yourself, to progress yourself, develop yourself. It's just like practice any skill. Okay, so like my journey, it has been over 40 years, 45 years. So I have this ability to think when I need to think. But when I finish with my thinking, I can just purge Jerry, kick Jerry out at will, on demand. This is the difference.
I was just going to say that this is so amazing that you have been able to label this kind of system, this way of identifying different entities of entrapment that trap our mental self, our inner peace. And this is important to be able to identify so that we can condition ourselves to be able to control it and then ultimately remove it and manipulate it according to a situation. So that's just so important for people to understand and label this.
Through practice. Emphasize that is through practice only. There is another thing that I need to talk about regarding pink Jerry. You know, when you are being trapped in the dark Jerry, it's a very straightforward enemy because this Jerry motivate you to fight, motivate you to fight your way through, to get rid of this. So in return, it gives you this mental habit to push it away, okay, to discard of it, or to make it disconnect and go beyond.
Yes.
Disconnect and go beyond is a mental habit that you got to develop if you want to reach all this state of mind, which you got to fight your way through. So this is a very straightforward enemy, so to speak, okay? However, when we come to pink Jerry, it's not a straightforward enemy anymore. Pink Jerry is very much like you are sleeping with the enemies. Yeah, you're sleeping with the enemies. You don't, this is a white collar enemy that come in the form of pressing you, massage your ego. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're so good. You're so talented. Come in the form of press, you know, or trying
comfort,
to boost your ego, all these things. And then we like this. We like people to give us this compliment, to praise us, to say that we are good, we are this and that. And then you kind of attach. You are the one who hold this prison bar, because you don't want this Pink Jerry to disappear. You want to keep on hearing, you know, all these soothing words. But in the end, no matter what type of Jerry, they are all subject to the law of change. Anicang.
yes,
Okay, they're subject to the law of change. They don't stay with you forever. They don't. They come and then they stay for a while and then they disappear. This is their nature. You know, come and stay for a bit and go. Goodbye, goodbye, go. So this kind of feelings of emotion that you enjoy being with, it won't stay with you forever. It will go. Once it goes, you crave for more. For example,
yes.
you know, if you are a very famous singer or actor, look at all these famous people.
Exactly.
The entire world, you know, go crazy with them. You're so good, all these things.
Especially child celebrities.
Celebrity, yeah, exactly. And that is so dangerous. That is so dangerous. You see, with all these famous people, the minute that their fame drop just a little, the minute they're being criticized just for a bit, the ego is scratched and they hate that. Okay, so this thing, the Black Jerry will take over right away in the sense of what? I don't like this. Offended, or you get angry because your popularity. It can bruise your ego as well. Your ego is bruised. Can you see that? And then you become so unhappy. You're being conditioned by all those because you're attached to the Pink Jerry. You say, sorry, Pink Jerry. You're attached to the Pink Jerry too much, and then you don't want to let go. So when your popularity is dropped, it turns into Black Jerry. The higher up you climb, when you fail, the deeper you fail as well, isn't it? That's why when you,
yes.
the more pain you will get. So just now, when you mentioned about the children, you know, celebrity, that is so dangerous. Thailand Got Talent, they copy from Britain Got Talent on that. And this girl, she was only, what, 5 or 6 years old. And she's being exposed, you know, on the television because she sang something. And that fame is only lasts about a day or two. And that day or two, she gave interviews. She said that, oh yeah, I walk out, you know, in my neighborhood, you know, oh, my neighbor, they all come to me. They want to take picture with me. They're all this and that with me. But the next day, not even 24 hours gone, that fame gone. And being a mother, how you are going to explain to your daughter, 5-year-old daughter, that why your neighbor don't crazy about you anymore? And would you imagine that the heart of this girl will be crushed so much that she cannot understand, even the adult, even the grown-up, when your popularity is dropped, your ego is being beaten, being bruised so much until you can become what? Have a breakdown. That's why a lot of people that go hooked in drugs, in alcohol, or having, you know, mental issue, that even the adults. Yes. But we give our children that taste of fame for 5 minutes, for 20 hours. The emotion, you know, is being pushed up the scale, hit the ceiling without any experience of life backing them up. All they know is that this euphoria, being famous for 5 minutes, they like that feeling. They like that feeling. They love that feelings because it tastes good. You're in the spot. Everyone knows you. But it lasts only, what, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then you flop. So the higher you climb up, the
harder you
deeper that you fall,
yes.
and the more pain that you experience as well. And that is scary. That is scary. This is the reason why all these children's actor, young actor, when they grow up,
Right.
really feel that successful. A lot of them, they didn't even make to into the 20 something because they turn into alcoholic because they cannot cope with the disappointment. They cannot understand why the world, turned the back on them so suddenly like
Yes.
that. And it's so dangerous. So I keep on telling my student that keep your children down to earth, keep them level-headed, keep them simple, keep them level-headed. Don't let the
Yes.
emotion, climb up too quickly while they are young, because they got no experience in life to understand them. Even adults, they can't understand, not to mention children. Okay.
Yes.
And this is very dangerous. So very dangerous. Okay. So come back to this pink jerry. So this is how poison pink jerry can be. How poison is the enemy that you cannot see. And because of this really nice feeling that you want to cling on to, you want to attach to this prison that you don't want to leave. But all these things, they're all subject to the law of change. They cannot be like this forever. That's why in all religion, they're all, all these ascended master, they all teach it not to cling onto anything. Just let them go. Let them go. Detachment, not attachment, just detachment. Let it go. Let it go. So in the end, you just have to let it go. So once you know how to let it go, you will experience the peace. But before you can let all this go, it's not easy. It's a journey. It's a long journey that you have to take, to get to that point. But this part is very important for people to know this. So in my course, I will lead my student, to play a game like hokey cokey. And then I will show them that when you experience the pink jerry, enjoy it. Enjoy it, embrace it while it lasts.
While it lasts,
While
yes.
But when jerry disappear, be wiser. You got to be wiser. This is very important that you got to know. Let it go naturally, and then be wiser, knowing that, okay, this is as it is. Okay, as it is. It is as it is. This is the way nature go. No matter what kind of jerry, it comes and go. Even black jerry, if you're feeling, really suicidal, people will commit suicide. If only they have a bit of patience and meet the right people. All this dark jerry, there's all these suicidal thoughts, it will disappear. And then when they look back, we said, oh my God, how on earth I could think of killing myself? That is so, silly, so stupid. Yeah, they can change just like that. If only they meet the right person to talk to them. You see, and all these jerry are all the same. Clear jerry as well. At one time, you can be so fixated to your religious belief. But when you come to liberate yourself from jerry, when you look back, oh my God, I could see myself that as well. I could see myself, in the past. I really fixated to certain type of clear jerry as well. To understand this illustration is very important.
Oh, this is very interesting.
So, type of jerry, yeah.
On types of jerry, yes.
Dark jerry that make you want to scream, and then you got the pink jerry. Okay, oh, this very nice and pleasant, joyous, thoughts and emotion. And then you got the white jerry, intellectual knowledge, and the clear jerry. My God, is better than yours. What's that kind of thing? So no matter what type of jerry is not good, but you use jerry as a tool, okay, to do something positive, to help people to get to the void in the end. So this is what I like to show you. You see, the Buddha went through the 6 long years of self-torture with the hope that he could reach enlightenment. You see that? He said that when he used his finger, touch the front, it reached the back, touch the back, it reached the front. So he was paper thin. He starved himself into paper thin. And this thing, it came to his own belief, because his teacher pass it on to him, pass this clear Jerry to him. And then he believed his teachers so profoundly until he put into the practice that if I torture myself like this, I would reach enlightenment. But that is not true. That is not true. So this proved how dangerous the clear Jerry is. It was the clear Jerry that, give us the crusade war for over nearly 300 years. And now we got this modern crusade that is still fighting over religion. So can you see that the different type of Jerry, when you say the broken heart, that heart is your inner self, is your mental self, your true self. You don't mean the thumping heart. Black Jerry that make you sad, make you angry, broken, lonely, depressed. At the same time, you got the pink Jerry that make you happy, joyful, cheerful, excited. So it's important that people must know that there are two parts. Tom is our mental self. And then you got the Jerry, Tom and Jerry. Okay, Tom and Jerry. All this is, you can't see yourself in the mirror. That's why I really need to rely on all this illustration to help my student to understand. Jerry create diversity. The true self remains the same as the pure consciousness. And it is Jerry that create this differentiation and diversity among humankind. Give the beauty, really. If the beauty, so Jerry create different personality in human, loving, kind, caring, forgiving, grounding, egoistic, aggressive, violent, arrogant, self-centered, and so on. Okay, so Jerry is the part that gives us this diversity.
Individuality too, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ka-Zan, for explaining this. Yeah, this is so important to understand in order to be able to control and grasp it, learn from it, evolve, and also navigate it so that you can liberate yourself at the same time as elevate and level up as a human being.
Yeah.
But also understand the transience of Jerry's. They come and go and nothing is permanent. So it's important not to cling to any kind of Jerry, as you mentioned, right, Ajahn?
It's very important that we know that. Yeah, we use Jerry as a tool, in everyday's life to do things, and preferably toward the positive way. Yeah, and finish Jerry, get rid of it, and then go to your sanctuary, the void, Nirvana.
Yes,
perception. Okay,
love that.
So
thank you.
Yeah, if you can have this way of life, your life will be quite steady. It's not turbulent. It'll be quite steady because you know how to go back home. Yeah, bring your mental self back home. I mean, this phrase is just so perfect. So perfect.
It really is. It's an important message.
Yeah.
Practice, discipline, incorporate that into daily life, make it a second nature, discipline, and then you'll be ready to tackle any challenge that comes.
Very well said. I would say the first nature, not second nature, because when you do this, become your first nature. In Buddhism, this is the model, the role model as the Arahant, the fully enlightened one. They just live their life with living with the void, and that is their nature, not second nature. There is no second nature, and everyone can develop into that state of mind, provided that you discipline yourself and keep up with the practice. You get there, I'm sure. This is a guarantee. Yeah.
Yes, we will, and yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
ขอบคุณค่ะอาจารย์